Hello, what's up? It's One in All Stories, and I'm going to be doing part 2 of What If Deku was a ghost, and a very powerful one at fact. And also, one more thing, one second. As you can clearly see right there, part 1 has not even been uploaded yet. So you guys are going to have plenty to watch. Now, what is that? Oh yeah, we left off at Deku with the 10 to 10 months. So Deku is gonna get used to his power for the next 10 months, but he's not really gonna train, because does he really have to? And this is what he's thinking, but All Might tells him, you probably should train. You said it yourself, some spirit energy, some human spirits can overpower your spirit, right? Yeah. So doesn't that mean that the quirks could too? Deku's thinking about this. And Armon comes and he does have a point. Huh? You're not basically unbeatable. Because of your human body, you have vulnerability. And he goes, oh, shoot. So, because of Deku, let me just quickly, there we go. Because Deku actually is like, oh, so I'm not basically unbeatable, then I'll train a little bit. And he does train, like a little bit. He just focuses on on increasing his spirit, but it's extremely hard to do. I mean, like increasing your spirit, right, to where it's able, how do I explain it? It's like trying to get a six-pack overnight. No, wait, no, how to say this? Just so in terms some people can understand it, it's trying to get a six-pack while eating junk food every day. It's basically almost impossible to do. But Deku can actually do it. So he does. He's training his spirit little by little. Now, the UA festival not the UA festival. What's wrong with me? The UA entrance exam is coming up and Deku's there, full of confidence. And what's her name? Uraraka comes over and she sees, now what do I say this? Deku doesn't fall, but let's say Uraraka does. And so what Deku does is he goes and he catches Uraraka. And Uraraka's like, did I activate my quirk? And Deku just goes, so your quirk is the ability to make you float? Uraraka looks up and he goes, and she sees someone holding her by the backpack. And he goes, oh, thank you. And he goes, it's fine, no problem. As he goes into the building to get his test. And Deku's and Bakugo's relationship is like kind of frenemies. Yeah, frenemies. They don't really, yeah, the best way to explain it is frenemies. They fight a lot, but they're kind of friends. That's what I mean. So Deku aces the written exam. I mean, like, that was nothing. Because of Deku being very powerful, he didn't train as much, so he had a lot more time to study. And now he goes into the normal, what's it called? Then we go to the bot test. Bakugo and Deku are not in the same what's it called? City. So those two are not going to be fighting each other and not be able to get any points. But point is, so Deku's just standing there, and Ida looks at Deku. Why is he's not preparing or anything? And he's just wearing this normal old school suit. And he goes up, and Ida goes up to Deku and is like, "Why are you wearing the school uniform?" He's like, "Oh, crap. I thought we had to go in here looking all formal. That's the only reason why." Deku snaps his hands in an entire new pair of clothes, something casual. So, some trousers and a shirt appears. There's with red, smaller versions of Deku's original shoes in the canon also appear. And Ida just looks at Deku. So you have the ability to create clothes? How do you plan on being a hero like that? I was like, no, I don't create clothes. So you have a creation quirk? Nope. I was like, you're just gonna have to see. And President Mike says go, because there is no time, there is no countdown in the battlefield. And everyone just zooms off. Deku immediately makes himself untangible. So he flies right into the floor, and then his head just... And then to kind of freak out the competition, he gets in front of everyone and he just pulls his head right at the floor, freaking out everybody. Even Uraraka's a little bit confused. Deku gets out from the floor and goes, it actually worked. He turns around and then he starts flying, and everyone's just trying to figure out his quirk. Especially Ida, because he just saw him make a new pair of clothes, come out of the floor, and then start flying. Ida describes it in his head as a glitch in the real world. And Deku hears this, and he's just like, you're kind of right. Deku's fists become on fire, and his eyes start to glow, a little bit bluish. As he sees the first robot, Deku snaps his hands, and a magic spear comes out of nowhere. So, to limit Deku from being way too overpowered, because I said he doesn't really apply to the rules of this world, I made it where he has limits on his powers, such as like he can be overpowered with someone's physical spirit, and his spirit is kind of like an energy source, so it can run out, and he has to fight with his normal thing. How do I explain this? It's like chi. He has a limited amount of chi. Deku just has a large amount of essentially magic, or in this case I call it malice. Energy that can bend time, not time, reality, so it can essentially do anything. And because he has a limit of this, he has a limit of actually how much he can do or use it. But he essentially just creates a malice sword. So it doesn't necessarily, spear. So it doesn't necessarily follow any rule, what's it called? How do I explain this? Oh yeah. Any of the reality's rules. That's what I meant to say. And I know this is what if Deku has a ghost, and I'm making it where he has like energy power. But the reason he even has this is because he is a ghost. He's a ghost through and through. Like, he can fall through walls, and he doesn't need malice energy to do that. But malice energy is just a plus side of being a malice spirit. And he goes to the... And some of the powers of a normal ghost is just to fly first of all, go through walls, possess things, and what's else? Oh, telekinesis. Those are the normal powers of a ghost, essentially. But because Deku is a malice spirit, he has the energy of Malice, which also gives him and basically an infinite amount of abilities. But to limit, because to limit the powers of further Malices, the original Malice, which his identity will be revealed in the future, made it where they can produce it naturally, but they can't necessarily, where they can produce Malice naturally, but they cannot like have an infinite amount of it. So they will eventually run out of Malice and they're just a normal ghost. So Deku has to be careful and use his Malice wisely, because Deku is actually a very strong Malice spirit, and he has a normal amount of Malice, and that's just because of how strong his spirit it is without Malice. So it produces a lot more Malice. And now I'm just sounding like an idiot, but I hope this is actually pretty good. Also, I'm gonna be right back. No, not delete, no, do not delete, thank you. Pause. Alright, so he produces Malice naturally, and now back to the US thing. He created a Malice spear so he can limit the amount of Malice he can use. So, like, he just manipulates this one chunk of Malice, and that's all. So he sends the spear flying through many robots, and it just keeps doing so. And then on top of that, Deku, for the people who can't use their quirks as well and will actually get hurt if they don't use it because they're in a bad situation because of the Malice, because of the robots. They weren't expected to fight robots, and their quirks is not necessarily designed for that, so they are in a bad situation. Deku saves them. And he saves about 5 of these people, and I say he gets like 2 points, so he gets like 10 points for saving people. And then the 0-point robot comes around, and Deku's like, I can beat that thing pretty easily, but I don't feel like doing so. So he just turns his Malice into he just turns his spear into a little cloud, and he just sits on it. And he's about to fly away when he hears this a scream. Deku immediately turns around to see the girl he helped earlier. Deku puts his hand in the cloud, and the cloud starts to wrap around Deku's arm. Once the cloud is completely wrapped around Deku's arm, Deku hardens the cloud into some sort of gauntlet with a hole in the middle. Deku aims his arm to the massive, to the massive robot's head. And then a small energy ball forms in the palm of his hand, and it just keeps getting bigger as more energy balls collide with bigger, and all you hear is Malice obliteration. A massive blast, a massive ray basically pierces the robot's face. Now there's just a massive hole in the robot's face where Deku's original in-canon punch was. As the robot just falls backwards, he sends he releases his gauntlet and it becomes into a clone. And he sent his clones to fly towards Uraraka, helping the rubble off. Then the clones turn back into clouds, and they float under her, bringing Uraraka towards Deku. Deku just grabs her, sees if he has any injuries, and heals them. So she heals Uraraka's injuries, and then he places her on the floor. You should be okay. I did my best to heal your ankle, but I'm not really a healer. Uraraka thanks Deku and asks what his quirk is. Huh? Ghost. It's like, but that makes no sense. What was that then? Ghosty abilities. Oh, and also, just so I can actually limit his powers even further, it takes malice to converge the sphere's form. So like it takes energy to rip apart the malice's form and then form it into something else. And yeah. So Deku just floats down to the floor as Mr. Mike yells, "Time's up. I hope you guys are satisfied with what you did, cause you ain't doing no more." Essentially. And well, they stop. Oh, how long has it been? 15 minutes? So Deku goes home and he waits for the result from the UA Sports Festival. And he gets them. And surprise, surprise, or no surprise here, he basically passes. All Might there saying, "Nice job, Yamadora. You passed this and that. I'm a teacher at UA now." And now we go to him going to UA. He walks in through the door and he immediately notices Ida yelling at Bakugo. And he's like, "Oh, hey you two." Bakugo just gets up and looks at Deku. "Hey, Deku." What's up?" Bakugo just jumps towards Midoriya, and Deku just makes himself intangible, and Bakugo just go right through him. And he's like, "One of these days I'm gonna get you, Midoriya." He's like, "You only got me once, and you're never gonna do it again." As Uraraka comes into the classroom, and is like, "Oh, hi. Thank you for saving me in the sports festival again." And he's like, "Oh, it's nothing." And not Uru, Mr. Aizawa comes into class and says, "We're not doing the orientation, puts his sports on, we're going." Everyone's confused about who this man is wearing this massive cloth around his neck, and they're just like, "Okay." And so they go out to do the quirk assessment and test, and Mr. Aizawa sees that they're all pretty calm, and he's like, "Oh, hell no." And that's essentially what I saw. That's essentially how I felt, or Mr. Aizawa said, and he goes, "Whoever gets last fails." Everyone, there is all very, 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 very worried. Or at least the ones that don't have a lot of confidence in the quirks. Deku, Bakugo, Todoroki, Kirishima, etc. Oh, they're all just like, "Okay, I just don't have to get last place in." And just to make everyone even feel even worse, Deku's just like, "Hey, are you serious about the expulsion thing?" Mr. Aizawa says yes, but he knows this can still be a lie. So Midoriya uses a little bit malice, puts his hand out and looks to Mr. Aizawa before he speaks and goes, "Truth serum." So now Mr. Aizawa can only tell the truth. And well, he says yes. And it's like, "Oh, well, whoever gets last place is screwed." Everyone's confused at what Deku just did. And it turns out, and then he explains to them, "Well, I used a little bit of my ability to make sure he tells the truth when I asked him the question, and he said yes." And he goes, "It's a possibility." So now everyone's super worried, because now they know it wasn't fake. So everyone goes through the quirks analysis test. For the running thing, Deku just, because he knows matter cannot exist in between. Oh wait, he doesn't apply to the laws of that. So he basically just shoots over it. How do I say this? he kind of just propels himself, he flies right through, essentially. And he can fly really fast, so he gets there, and it's just like, he gets there like a millisecond faster than Ida. And Nita's like worried. For the grip strength, he just infuses his malice into the machine, into the grip device. I don't really know what it is, and he destroys it. I mean, like, it's destroyed. So he obviously gets first place. So the side-to-side jump is he makes himself a human object. So now he has to follow the laws of the rules, the laws of reality, and he just jumps to his side. Then after that, he just makes his foot untangible, places it onto the floor, and then makes it unintangible, and he just boom flies right out of it. Then he makes his other foot untangible, and does the same thing, causing him to ricochet to side to side, making him go incredibly fast. And then he makes himself a malice spirit again, and he's unable to, and then the rules of the world don't apply to him anymore. And yeah, so Deku can do that. So Deku is over here with his eyes, and for the ball throw, Deku just plays malice, which appears to be a blue flame, into his hand, throws the ball like a couple inches in the air from his hand, flicks it, and it goes 1,000 meters. Everyone is in absolute shock, and he goes, "I didn't want to be." So that's about as far as my malice goes. It's like everyone's confused. What? That's my range of my. That's the range of my quirk. 1,000 meters? It says Zero. That's insane! So Deku, not wanting anyone to be expelled, manipulates the test results to make it where there's a tie in the bottom. Mr. Aizawa's like, "Well, I just have to expel you both." And Deku's like, "Oh shit, that actually did not work out." So he then manipulates the test results again, where everyone got a tie. And Mr. Aizawa's like, "Oh hell no, who's doing that?" And Deku's just like, "No one." Mr. Aizawa looks at Deku again, and he goes, "Are you doing that?" He's like, "Maybe." It's like, "Why?" It's because I don't want you to expel anyone. I find it stupid that you're expelling someone just because of a quirk analysis test. Think about it. You don't know if they can become a great hero just because of this. This is one-sided. What if you did this, huh? You said we were allowed to use a quirk, but in your situation, you would never be able to use your quirk on any of these things because it involves other people. Sure, you could deactivate someone's quirk, but that's only if you're able to see all of them at the same time. You'd be put in a bad situation too. And Manetta, who did get last place, is also in a bad position. The only time he was in an advantage, the only time when he had an equal chance was when he was doing side-to-side jumps. Sorry, that was just me doing side-to-side jumps. I've never done them before, so it was kind of fun doing them. But point is, Deku's speech isn't enough to convince Mr. Aizawa to not expel him, because he did to not expel Manetta. Which doesn't last long. Manetta doesn't necessarily get expelled. He just gets unpromoted, demoted to Class 1B. And then someone from Class 1A, it gets placed into class 1B. My stupid. Someone from class 1B they get swapped. So the top person in class 1A, which I think would be the girl with the big hands, she gets placed into 1A. And so that happens. So Mañana got demoted. So, ow, that hurt. Now that's happening. So Deku is, oh, now it's the, what's it called? The hero versus villain exam? Yeah, the hero versus villain exam. And so here's what happens. Uraraka and Deku versus Bakugo and Ida. Deku right off the bat says, I'm gonna have to hold off Bakugo because your quirk's not suited to defeat him. So I hold him long enough where you can actually tap him on the shoulder or anywhere, causing him to float. Then all I have to do is create a string like this one. He snaps his finger and the strings appears to him and the floor. Then no matter where he shoots an explosion, it will cause him to hit the floor or the wall. And it's like, that's a nice plan, but what do we do with Ida? Well, I just strip him of his armor. Huh? What would that do? He's wearing armor to protect himself. So that means his feet are not used to hitting objects. Also meaning that he has to limit how hard he hits you. Allowing you to be able to touch him, and he won't be able to use his quirk because of the position the motors are in. So literally, you're a secret weapon. He's like, cool. So Deku walks in with the string around his waist, and his hero quirk is his hero suit is a tuxedo and a hat. And Bakugo does the surprise landing, the surprise attack again. Deku expecting this takes Uraraka's hands and just teleports. It's gone. And it's not like he teleported away. He just teleported out of the radius blast right behind him. Deku turns around and puts Malice in his hands and goes, body binding, trapping Bakugo right in mid-air. Bakugo, with a strong spirit, overpowers the body binding. And he's like, I thought so. And does an explosion to propel himself close to Deku. And he's about to throw an explosion back, throw an explosion to Deku. But then Deku just goes, we've done this before, Bakugo. I maybe not be able to affect your body, but your quirk, that's a different story. Bakugo throws an explosion at Deku, but Deku just compresses it and sends it right back with twice the force because it was compressed and then released. And Bakugo's just like, I always hated when you did that. And it's like, doesn't matter. Thing is, I can do it. So, Deku snaps and his spear appears again. He starts to spin it and he goes, Malice drill. The spear goes flying straight to Bakugo. Bakugo just goes, Hazara impact. Or at least I think that's what it was called. But it's where he does an explosion. He does a spin. But he does it in smaller, so it doesn't do as much destruction. This causes the spear to go straight to the floor. And Bakugo looks at Deku and goes, be gone, thought. Essentially, that's not what he says, I just wanted to say thought at the end of it. And he just goes, die! He throws an explosion straight to Deku, but Deku just grabs Uraraka again and makes them untangible, causing the attacks to go right through. Deku takes this opportunity and throws Uraraka, who is still untangible for about 3 more seconds, causing her to phase right through Bakugo. As she becomes unintangible again, or solid, she turns around and touches Bakugo on the back, causing him to float. Bakugo's about to throw an explosion backwards, causing him to propel himself towards Uraraka. But then snakes appear on Bakugo. But then, my bad. A giant snake appears on Bakugo. Bakugo is confused on where the hell did the snake come from. But then he looks to Deku, who's just holding his hat, smiling while holding his sleeves out, where the snake is apparently coming from. He's like, "This is your doing," and he goes, "Duh." As the two snakes bite into, what's his name, Bakugo's chest, Deku throws the snake's tail onto the floor. Then snaps his fingers and the snakes turn into ropes that are basically infused into Bakugo's skin because of the bites. Bakugo is completely furious at Deku. Ooh. And he lets go a couple explosions, but it just causes him to hit the wall or the floor. And he goes, "Clever plan. But eventually her effect will wear off." And he goes, "No, it won't," Deku says with a sinister smile on his face while activating Malice in his hands again, which is essentially just giving him blue flame effect. And Bakugo immediately goes, "God damn it, you enhanced her quirk, didn't you?" And it's like, maybe not. "This is never gonna end, is it?" Not till I. And he say so. Bakugo just yells at Deku, saying, "You'll never be better than me, and you're doing this just because you can't defeat me." Causing Deku just to get annoyed, to turn around, grab and simulate a a baseball throw towards what's his name? Bakugo. I'm forgetting names now. Bakugo's face. So this is what I was checking. So it goes to Bakugo's face, and a piece of metal appears on Bakugo's face. Oh, my bad, I was covering my mouth. A piece of metal appears on Bakugo's mouth, causing him to shut up. And he goes, "About time." Deku goes up the stairs, and he eventually finds Ida's room, which before they walk in, he touches Uraraka's shoulder, causing her to be engulfed in malice and invisible. Only Deku could see her. Uraraka's a little bit confused on what Deku did, because she just felt a rush of energy. He goes, "Walk in." It's like, "It doesn't matter, just walk in." Uraraka just walks in the room, thinking that Ida would react, but Ida's just like, sitting there. Uraraka's a little bit confused. But then she understands what's happening when Deku just walks right through her. Uraraka yells and goes, "Ah! Ah! I'm a ghost!" And Deku takes off the earpiece that he pretends is working, and he goes, "Can you not yell in my ear, Uraraka?" As he turns around and he just stares at her, sending a telepathic message with his mind, "Can you please finish? Like, there's 2 minutes and I don't want to wait 2 minutes." Sending a telepathic mind saying that, my bad. Sending a telepathic mind saying that only I can see you or hear you. Ooh, go touch the bomb. And I release the effect. So, Ida and Deku have their battle, which is essentially just Deku dodging Ida's attacks by morphing the ground into walls. What I mean is, like, the walls, the floor bends upwards, creating a wall whenever Ida's about to kick Deku. This kind of freaks out Ida and allows Deku to put his hand in Ida's chest. Ida's eyes and mouth release a glow. When Deku pulls out his hands, Ida is just staring there, while Deku is holding something in his hands. It seems to be a blue ball. Ida's body is just standing there, and everyone's confused on what's happening. And he goes, crap. I kind of, ripped your soul out, didn't I, Ida? And then Deku starts to laugh, as basically he's the only one seeing, well, along with Uraraka, because she's basically a ghost right now, who Ida yelling at him to put his soul back into his body. Beforehand, he kind of screamed, why the heck is my body there when I'm right here? And he goes, I kind of ripped out your soul from your body, didn't I, Ida? And he's like, oh, hell no. So Deku grabs Ida's soul, which Ida describes the sensation he's feeling as someone's tugging at his heart. And then he grabs it, and he places his hand back into Ida's body's chest. His eyes and mouth glow again, and then it's about time. I can finally go back. Ida's mouth and eyes glow again, and he has his soul back. And as he falls to the floor, Deku snaps his hands, and Uraraka becomes visible again. And she's touching the bomb, so All Might declares them the winner. As Deku goes back up to the building, everyone is kind of scared of Deku, but also glad he's on their side. And well, this is where I'm going to be leaving this off, and I hope you guys enjoyed this what if. I kind of enjoyed making this. I didn't expect this what if to be so fun. So, one and all stories, signing out. If you guys enjoyed it, hit the like button, and please hit the subscribe, because it kind of makes me feel better about myself, and kind of better about the fact that I look like a stupid maniac just walking around his yard while talking to himself. Please hit that subscribe button so I feel better about myself. I'm not trying to make you guys feel pity. I'm just like, come on, please hit that subscribe button. Well, bye.